One of the biggest complaints about Apex Legends since the game has released has been its crucial skill-based matchmaking. Apex has had some conversations here recently and also said that they've been testing some things about making the matchmaking better so that it's a little bit more, I guess, helpful for you guys. So if you've ever felt like the game is just too sweaty and you can't enjoy it or have a good time, well, this video probably is going to explain a lot of things as they look to move for a new system. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new as always, and comment down below for a chance to win the Sierra heirloom. I know I said yesterday was the last video, but I'm actually still announcing it today, but I'm just going to include this video as well. It's going to be on my YouTube community page at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to see if you won, make sure to check it out then. You'll also get a notification if you are subscribed. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe because it's your last chance to enter. So firstly, prepare for a very deep dive because this one is quite a long one. Thank you to Nico for tagging me in this over on Twitter, but Respawn actually made this tweet 5 minutes ago at the time of recording saying, how exactly does matchmaking work in Apex? Find out this deep dive update with technical director Sammy Duck, along with those who are working on this to create fair matches as you play with friends of different skill level and retiring our current system. Praise God, they're retiring their current system. But if you guys take a look at their website, this is exactly what they go over. Apex Legends matchmaking update. Like I said, this will probably be a longer video and a deeper dive, and I'll give my opinion and updates along the way. So they say, hello everyone, we are the matchmaking team of Apex Legends, and today we are sharing a bit of insight to our Apex Legends matchmaking. This blog is written by a cross-discipline team representative of Respawn's efforts to improve our matchmaking experience. We're led by technical director Sammy Duck, which we all know because we've talked about his tweets in the past about all of this. He says, matchmaking is a big, complicated topic that is highly discussed in our community. We have recently made some changes to matchmaking that players have noticed, and we're here to talk about it. So in this dev blog, we will explore what is matchmaking, what approach does Apex Legends use, the future of Apex Legends matchmaking, and commonly asked questions that are now answered. Also confirmed right here that they've already made some changes, but also will be making some changes here in the near future. Starting it off saying, what is matchmaking? While there are many definitions of matchmaking, let's focus on how we as Apex Legends approach matchmaking. And for us, we encompass the three things. Three distinct different concepts: progression, skill rating, and matching. The progression system is a part of the matchmaking that is exposed to players. In Apex Legends, you earn a variety of rewards through our progression system just by playing the game. Players get a sense of improvement and achievement based on their time investment, and a good progression system keeps more players feeling rewarded and engaged, and more players mean better matchmaking. So basically the way they're starting it off is like, look, we need the most players possible, so we have to have a progression system, i.e. like a prestige system, level system, because the real system behind all of this is just going to show that you're level 1, you go up a few points, you go down a few points. But if that's all the viewer feels, they're not going to really want to come back because there's no sense of grind, there's no sense of progression, hence why it's called the progression system. However, progression systems have an impact on in-game behavior and can change how matches play. For example, while players may hot drop in pubs for the adrenaline, they might think twice about doing that in ranked for harsh penalty and dying early. Similar, daily and weekly rewards may encourage players to select unfamiliar legends and weapons. For these reasons, it's clear that progression affects more than just the player engagement. Progression is a central component to the game and must be considered when creating the skill rating and matching systems. Most importantly, since progression is exposed to the players, it strongly affects their perception of how fair a match is. For example, you might expect the amount of level to be strongly correlated to a skill. This is not always the case. A low account player can be highly skilled, like most of us here. A high level player can be a potato. They even give us this little graph here to kind of represent the progression system and kind of how it correlates with skill rating as well, because now they have number 2, the skill rating, which is a numerical representation of a player's skill. The number is intentionally hidden to players to avoid exploitation. It is usually based on a number of factors that represent your skill and ability to play the game. To help us explain, imagine a skill rating between 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. If I'm a 5 and you're a 6, you are better than me by 1. But how much better is that? For this, we'll need to look at the skill rating distribution of all the players. There are 2 ways to view this skill. Number 1, continuous Gaussian distribution. They show this graph and follow it up by saying the skill graph right here that you see is all the players in pubs. You can see the majority of the players sit at the center of the distribution, while on the right/left, you have the highest and the lowest skill rated players, which are in this distribution, which are much more rare. This continuous view is useful when the skill rating algorithm can very precisely describe the skill of a player. For example, when it can confidently say a skill rating of 5.2 is stronger than a 5.1. But note that the picture distribution does have small issues that we're aiming to fix, e.g. a low skill players aren't differentiated enough from one another. Rather than tapering off like the high end, players at the bottom get grouped together. Number 2, the discrete buckets. In this approach, players are grouped into discrete 4 or 5 different groups. For example, players between 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, and 8 to 10 will form in their respective quote buckets. And in this case, you assume every player in a bucket has an equivalent level of skill rating, either by choice or because the skill rating algorithm cannot distinguish those players from one another. The buckets chart can depict the actual player skill distribution using the previous version of our matchmaking algorithm. You can see that pubs have a pretty relaxed matchmaking as the buckets are pretty wide. Small buckets represent low skill level and new players as we try to let them learn the game mechanics. Traditionally, Apex Legends uses the bucket approach, but that is changing, as you can see in the future of matchmaking, which we'll go over very soon. Matching here. Finally, the matchmaking algorithm is responsible for determining who's in your game. Using the skill rating, it will group players together to form a match. Squads and matches are formed based on player availability. This algorithm must balance, though, speed versus quality. Should we form a match quickly, but with higher skill level differences, or should we wait a bit longer, which means longer queue times for more closely matched opponents? Once we have selected the possible players going into a match, there remains 2 big questions. How do we form the squads? Number 1, and number 2, how do we pair squads against squads? There are several methods here that can be done, but let's explore the next section. What does Apex Legends use? When the matchmaker basically is trying to form a match, it grabs 60 players that are available of a similar skill level and tries to form a match. For simplicity, let's imagine all 60 of these players are solo. Given their skill rating, how would we organize these 9 players into fair teams? To be fair, the following is not exactly what happens in the actual algorithm, since we also need to consider queue times and other variables outside the skill rating. However, the following examples will give you a good idea of how Apex Legends does build its squads. If we have 9 players, we need to sort these into teams. With skill ratings from 1 to 9, there are 2 reasonable ways that we can make teams from these set of players. We can form teams of the closest average skill to balance the match. We take this approach in pubs. And then they also say we can form teams in similarly skilled players in a fully competitive environment like ranked. We value the teams of equal skill and a lower burden of the carry over a perfectly fair match. Note, while we effectively stacking teams here, the set of players we are picking from is limited. We only pick from the players that made it into the match and are therefore similarly skilled because of the inherent randomness of chaos of a battle royale. We think this is the right trade-off. So basically what they're trying to say is they take all the skill rating numbers and try to formulate teams to where everyone's average number comes out to be roughly the same. So of course, at times you're going to have outliers where the guy who's ranked number 9 is really like a rank 5 and somehow he shouldn't have got to a level 9 or something along those lines. Like they said earlier in the article, sometimes really good players can be potatoes. And then obviously on top of that, you have pre-made squads. Whenever they join into the matchmaker, we need to figure out where to place this pre-made squad and determine their effective rating. Imagine if we have a pre-made trio with skill ratings like 2, 6, and 7. What are the ways that we could mathematically determine their team's effective rating? Once we know that, the matcher can proceed to find teammates for solos and duos, see above, and the opponents for this squad. There are at least 4 ways we could calculate a squad's effective skill. Sometimes they add their skill rating together, sometimes they take the lowest number, sometimes they take the average. So they go on to explain all of that in depth, and I'm not going to go over that because I really wanted to get to this, the future of Apex Legends matchmaking. There are a few things to consider moving forward with matchmaking improvements to Apex Legends. Firstly, players are constantly improving. We all know that, and a lot of people have actually contributed that to the fact of why matchmaking is so tough, because overall gamers are getting better, people are getting better equipment, people are getting better response time stuff, they're getting higher FPS, and gaming as a whole is just going up because players are constantly getting better at the game. I think a pro player now and a pro player 5 years ago is just totally on different levels, and I don't really think that those players can compete. I think we're just way better off in the skill department than what we used to be. However, it's not saying that the matchmaking system couldn't get better, but they did follow it up by saying a gold player in season 2 is a very different skill level compared to a gold player in season 15. Exactly what I just said. Therefore, sometimes players feel like they are not progressing, but this is not often true. Everyone is just getting better together and setting the bar even higher. However, this also means that the game gets harder and harder for new players to jump into. How we handle new players is something we must keep in mind when we think about the matchmaking improvement. Second, we currently have different ways to matchmake depending on the game mode that you are playing. Each mode has completely different skill rating systems and also different matching algorithms. And here's one of the bigger announcements, guys. They said that needs to end with our new matching system. So they're actually going to be changing all of that. Moving forward, all matchmaking will use the same skill rating technology, but each mode will use different tuning values based on what works best for that mode. This will allow us to more rapidly improve Apex Legends matchmaking across the board. Finally, we've built new skill measurement algorithm for accuracy. Our former matchmaking system categorized players into 4 discrete, including our new players, skill buckets. The new system, however, is more granular. This means there's many more buckets. This allows for our matching algorithm to make better decisions when placing players into matches. So we're retiring our current system in favor of the new one. The new system is going to be measuring skill and create matches based on 2 goals. Number 1, we need the player's measured skill to be meaningful. That is, that it must be predictive of their performance. In Apex Legends, this means player skills need to predict that. On average, squads with higher skill will consistently defeat lower skill squads in fights and place better. Number 2, with the new skill measurement, we need to make sure the tightest possible matches in a reasonable time frame. Our new matchmaker strives to achieve this by flipping the typical search around. Rather than placing players into statistic buckets, creating a match as soon as the bucket reaches 60 players, it will predict the distribution of incoming players and dynamically choose optimal trade-off between the skill differences and wait time. Current progress, our live test with this new system shows that it works and matches are tighter and wait times remain mostly unchanged. Yes, praise the Lord. So that means with this new update that they've been trying in all the test figures here, it says that basically like the wait times are not really even noticeable, but yet the matches are much better. They've also said since season 15, they've basically tested multiple regions here. The old system will be slowly phased out by region, and every step will be measuring whether the new system is working as expected or whether the changes are positive for players. When these systems are fully live everywhere, we can then start exploring additional corrections to player skill rating and to account to whether you're playing solo, duo, or trio. We hope players will enjoy the new changes. We continuously look at our data and player feedback as we further make tweaks and improvements. There are also some common questions here. I'm not going to read all of these, but there are a couple I just wanted to kind of mention here. You guys know that many people have accused EA and Apex Legends for using EOMM, which is engagement optimized matchmaking, where basically like the more you have people playing, obviously it's like it doesn't really care how good the matches are. They just basically want to make sure that everybody is getting like a win rate of about 50%, because if you win too much, it gets boring. You lose too much, you get upset. So they try to use that engagement like matchmaking where you purposely lose some games, I guess. And they actually said, is matchmaking built to directly optimize retention and engagement? Flat out answered it, no. Our matchmaking algorithm is only concerned with measuring skill and arranging the fairest possible match in a reasonable time. So obviously there's been a lot of accusations out there saying that that is the case. So I'm not really sure what you guys think about that, but they have answered it saying, no, that is not what we use at all. So this seems pretty fun, not gonna lie. And it also seems like they're changing a little bit of ranked as well. Not even just like the pub matchmaking. It seems like that all of matchmaking is getting a little bit of an update, and maybe we shouldn't also have plats showing up in our pred lobbies. I think honestly, this is a step in the right direction. I think most people probably should be, hopefully, fingers crossed, enjoying public matches and even their ranked games pretty soon. Let's hope we also get a rank change in the next season. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video if you guys did enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new as always. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I'll see you later, Gators.